Hey family, I'm PT, Pastor Touré Roberts, and the lead pastor of the Potter's House at 1LA in Denver. And on behalf of my wife, Pastor Sarah, and myself, we want to welcome you to our channel and to this word. I cannot wait for you to hear what God has for you in this message. I want to tell you a few things really quickly. Subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, subscribe so that you can be made aware of all of the word that's coming at you week in and week out. And also turn on your notifications so you don't miss a morsel that comes forth. We're also grateful for you and your partnership. If you are so compelled, we invite you to support what we're doing, not just our church, but what our church is doing. There are a number of outreaches, a number of things, critical, necessary things that we support, and we're able to do it because of your generosity. So without further ado, let's get right into this word. God bless you. I'll see you soon. All right. Today I want to talk about transition. And then specifically, the title of this message is The Protocols of Transition. And the biblical foundation of this this morning, this message is Joshua chapter 1. And we're going to look at the first 11 chapters. And transition, first 11 verses, that first chapter. Transition is an interesting thing because, first of all, it is the guarantee of forward progress and the realizing of your potential. It's funny, humans, we pray, which means that we want change, but we don't want to change. It's funny, it's the craziest thing. We're creatures of habit. And there's not a person here in this room or watching via live stream that doesn't want some sort of change in their life. But we are closeted, how can I put this? Behind the door, we really don't want to change because change requires things. And it's interesting when we look at creation, God put in creation, He has creation screaming change. Even the fact that the sun goes down and comes up every single day. Even the fact that your six-pack comes and goes every single week. I mean, literally, change is all around us. And not only is it all around us, but change is within us. You don't look like you looked when you were 16 or 18 or 25 or 40 or 60. So the idea of change, God was so committed to us embracing change that He sprinkled it in everything that He created in the universe. Yet, we struggle with it. We struggle with change. And we would swear that we don't. That's why I say that we're closeted change haters. Because we swear we want change, but we cannot stand the process of change. And transition, I'll tell you right now, no transition, no destiny. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. Destiny, going from glory to glory and level to level, necessitates transition. But we don't like it. Now, even though transition is such a blessing, I'll be honest with you, it's also a very dangerous season. Because the season of transition lacks the stability that non-transitional seasons possess. So it's a dangerous time, and that's why there are protocols to transition, and you have to move carefully, okay? That's transition. So what I'm going to do is I want to go through this text a little bit and point out some truths that we'll see in this text, and then I'm going to give you 5 protocols of transition that you need. And let me tell you something. Right now, literally, our nation is in transition. We're electing our next president in November. So the nation is in transition. Our nation is the most powerful, arguably the most powerful nation in the world, which means that the world is in transition. Because as goes America, so goes the world. What happens in America touches the globe. So our world is in transition. Our church is now in transition. And I believe with all of my heart that some of you are in transition. Where are my transition people at right now? Yeah. And if you are not in transition, you will be in transition. And if you reject transition, you'll be stuck. You'll be stuck. Let's go right to the text. So here the backdrop is the children of Israel are in transition. They're transitioning from the leadership of Moses, and not only the leadership of Moses, but the way of Moses and the way of the season. The way things happened in the season of the children of Israel navigating the wilderness was different from the way that things happened with the children of Israel navigating into the promised land under Joshua. So it wasn't just a change of leadership, it was a change of the way things worked. Oh, you're not ready. So this, what we're going to see in this transition, it's not just somebody dying. It's a whole way dying, and this is why people struggle with transition. Because oftentimes we're more committed to the way than we are to destiny. Okay, so here we go. Because I want you to still be friends with me. So let's just jump right into this. Okay, it says, after the death of Moses, this is fascinating. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying this, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, you may not see anything that jumps out at you, but Joshua already knew Moses was dead. Moses died in front of everybody. So why is God telling Joshua something that he already knew? I believe that the reason why God is telling Joshua, and even some of you today, that something is dead is because we have a difficult time embracing the fact that something is dead. Oh, I need to say that better. Ooh, let me just, yeah. He's telling him something he already knows. Watch this, was not revelation. This was God saying, look, I know that you are longing for the past. I know that there are things about the last season, things about the last level that you wished you could resuscitate. Don't make me in here today. Because time is limited. Don't make me. I know that there are things that you wish you can get. What are those things that you pop the electricity? What are they called? Because they couldn't tell me in the last service, and I just think that you guys are smarter. So what are they called? The fibrillator, right? Fibrillator? That's what it is? Because they'll make me say something because it's fibrillator. Can I get like a doctor to confirm it? All right, so I'm going to call it a defibrillator because the doctor said, so you get that, you're trying to, it's way too much time on this point, but you're trying to bring something to life. Something is dead, and we lay down and give it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, trying to resurrect it. You know what? Joshua looked up to Moses. He loved Moses. Maybe he loved the way of Moses. He discovered his calling under Moses. All these things happened under Moses. He probably, in his heart of hearts, was believing for an early resurrection. And God has to come to him, and he has to say, it's over. Because one of the things that I've learned about transition is that you cannot transition into without transitioning out of. We want the transitioning into, but we struggle with the transitioning out of. And so God has to come to Joshua straight out the gate. The first thing he says, before he even talks about anything else, he's like, homeboy, listen, yesterday is gone, and you got to die to it. It's dead. What in your life right now are you trying to breathe life into? And it is over. It is over. It is over. And everything that you've been praying for about your future is tied into you letting that die. Before you could even get past go, it's over. It's dead. There's no going back. The way it used to be is gone. In the Bible, there was a time, there's this king named Saul in the scripture. You'll find this in 1 Samuel. Start reading about chapter 12 and then read all the way through the Bible. You'll catch the point. Saul was rejected as king. It was over. It was dead. And Samuel the prophet, who was emotionally connected to him, was always crying and weeping and begging God. And he was doing that so much that he missed the fact that God was raising up David, who would do so much more and go so much further. And so finally, God has to come to him and he says, how long will you weep for Saul, seeing I have rejected him? What has God rejected in your life right now that you can't even move forward because you're still mourning over the death of something that God has disqualified from your destiny? And the first thing, am I in the right place? And the first thing, as he's getting ready, as he's moving Joshua into this transition, the first thing he tells him, not by revelation, but by command, you got to let what's dead be dead. I feel like Selah on that right now. Let what is dead be dead. He says, Moses, my servant, is dead. He says, now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving them, to the children of Israel. He says, every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. And so the first thing he says is, let it be dead. What season, what situation, what relationship, what culture, what subculture has destiny killed that you are trying to live in and or resuscitate? Selah. Then he says, after that got worked out, he says, now I need you to arise and go. And then he says, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon. This was interesting to me because not only do you have to let what is dead die, or not only do you have to agree, oh God, sometimes you have to agree with what God kills. But not only do you have to do that, but you also have to, as it relates to transition, you also have to move. He says, go. He says, arise and go. And then he says, every place that the sole of your feet should tread. That means you got to get moving. I feel that. Because sometimes you'll accept that something is dead, but you'll stay around the dead thing. You'll hang out in the cemetery and just you want to look at it every once in a while. And you want to remember what it was. And you want to go back to it and just kind of see, because there was maybe some good memories. It's dead. And what I need you to do is not only be dead to it, because it's dead to you, but I need you to move toward what's next. I need you to leave it. I need you to leave it alone. I don't know why I'm hanging out here. I need you to leave it and go. It says, every place the sole of your foot, it says tread upon, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, it says, I have given you. Now, wouldn't it be amazing? That means that there are things that are yours that can only be activated when you step on it. So there are things that belong to you, destiny, things that God has promised, things that have been pre-packaged, pre-installed in your destiny that can only be activated in your life according to your movement in the direction that God leads you in. So that means that if you stay where you are, you'll never get what God has. You got to keep it moving, right? It says from the wilderness and this Lebanon as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, say danger. All the land of the Hittites, and to the giant sea toward the going down the sun shall be your territory. So here is this immaculate promise. He says, let what's dead be dead. You got to keep moving. And when you move, you're going to see what I have for you. I'm giving you these things, but these things are yours, but you have to go and get them. And he says, and your territory is vast. It is so vast. It's from the going down the sun. It is vast. But then he slides in there. He just puts in there just one little word, and it's called a Hittite. How many of us know there will always be danger in transition? And I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Remember I told you a story about the rattlesnake in my backyard? Remember that? I was in danger, but I wasn't. You remember that? I was in danger, but it was not deadly. Right? Last week, it was sick. He was sick, but he wasn't sick unto death. You follow what I'm saying? So there will always be in transition. Do not be intimidated by the fact that there's going to be a giant or giants in the way. It just comes with it. And I love it that even in the text, God doesn't make a big deal about it. He doesn't say, this is your destiny, but oh my goodness, there are some serious giants. No, he says, listen, this is how it works. You have to understand that destiny necessitates giants. I don't know why. It's obviously some divine principle. I don't know. Maybe it's to prove that you're bigger than it. Maybe it's to make you strong. I don't know. I don't want to make up something. I don't know. But the reality of it is there will always be trouble on the path. And that's why God wants to build you up. And he wants to change you and mature you so you won't be thrown off by the haters. Okay, and so then he says, no man will be able to stand before you all the days of your life. In other words, all these obstacles, whatever the obstacles are in your life, in the transition that leads you into destiny, no matter what they are, don't worry about it. I've got you. They won't be able to stand. If I am for you, who can be against you? You follow what I'm saying? Oh, I've got stories. I wish I had time. He says, as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Here's a promise. And just catch these promises. I know we're talking about Joshua and him leading the children of Israel into conquering the land of Canaan, but this is about you and your destiny. You have a land of Canaan too that you have to conquer, right? And God, the same way he was with Moses, the same way he was with Joshua, the same way he was with David, the same way he was with Ruth, the same way he was with Deborah, the same way he was with Paul, the same way he was with his son Jesus. He says today, you believe in me, I'll be with you. Okay? Be strong and of good courage, for to this people you shall divide as inheritance the land which I swore to your fathers to give them. So in other words, I'm going to manifest the promises. And then he says, only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. I'm going to break it down in these 5 things just a second. Just give me a minute. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Right? I got you. Just be strong, be courageous, stay focused, Lord. Stay focused on all these things. I got you. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Right? I'm just keep reading. I'm going through. And then he says, have not I commanded you? This is a passage. This is a verse that almost seems like it's out of the flow, because he actually already said that. Right? He said that in verse 7. Be strong and courageous. Why is he repeating himself? And it's almost like he's having a conversation, but you don't see Joshua chiming in. He says it, and he's like, have I not commanded you? And you're like, did I miss a verse? And the reason why it's almost like you missed the verse is because whenever you are in transition, there will be moments where you will begin to question how you got there in the first place. I feel that for somebody. God will lead you into transition, will lead you out of your comfort zone. And when you're in that transition season too long, and it's usually right before the break of day, you will begin to question within yourself. Oh man, did I do the right thing? Wow, am I in the right? Did I really hear? Did God really say? Did I really hear from God? Because surely if I heard from God, I shouldn't have no Hittites. Hello, somebody. Wait, God, would you lead me into Hittites? Absolutely. And Girgashites and Jebusites and every type of site, parasites. And, you just name, I'll lead you. Yes, there are sites when I lead you. And so the reason why I believe it's kind of out of context, but right there, is that God is speaking to where he knows you're going to find yourself at some point in time in your transition season. You are going to question, and to be honest with you, you're going to want to run back to what is less than you, but familiar to you. And if the other side the you on the other side, could come back and speak to the you in the middle. Hello, somebody. That other side you would say, keep going. Stick to the plan. Don't turn from the left nor to the right. Don't listen to your haters on the right or the haters on the left. Listen, I feel this was, I'm sorry. I promise this is positive. Why would you listen to anything other than the prophetic stream of God concerning your life? Why would you even consider what a hater says? Wait, do you love me for real? Do you? And maybe you do love me for real, but has God shown you my future? And is it in agreement with the future that God showed me? No? Well, then you actually are disqualified, especially in the transition season, especially because you have people who actually, watch this, they're not just haters. Sometimes your lovers will throw you off course because they're actually blinded by their love for you and their perspective about you. But the only person that you can trust is the person that knows you, is the person that knew you before he put you in his mother's womb. There'll be some seasons where you can't listen to nobody but Jesus, because he is the only one who gets you and gets where you're going. I've had times where I've had to tell people who love me to be quiet. You love me too much to speak into my life right now. See, we know about the haters. Haters, it's easy to sometimes to reject the hater's wisdom, but what happens when you have to hate, you have to reject for the sake of destiny, you have to reject the wisdom of the lovers. You love me too much to speak into my life accurately. You need some Bible? That was Peter. Jesus, you will never go. I'll never let that happen to you. What did Jesus do? Jesus said, you know, I love you, but you better roll up off me. He literally said, get behind me, because you savor the things of man. In other words, you savor limited perspective. I got a destiny on the other side of this thing that you're standing. I'm trying to help about 17 people right about now. That's what I've learned. Sometimes the people who love you will be used of the enemy against you, blinded by their love, blinded by their phileo, brotherly love. Ooh, where'd that come from? Have I not commanded you? I was talking about turning to the left and to the right. I was talking about not listening to, just staying focused. Yeah. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Right? All this affirmation. And then in verse 10, it says, then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the camp and command the people, saying, prepare provisions for yourselves. Please say, prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves. Transition, you got to prepare yourself. I'm going to show you 5 ways in just a second. For within 3 days you will cross over this Jordan to go in and possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess. Let me give you 5 things real quick as it relates to protocols for transition, and we're going to roll. The first thing, the first protocol of transition that you got to embrace is you have to, first of all, get your house in order. Now, it's interesting. If you grew up in church or you know about the Bible or whatever, get your house in order is taken from when Hezekiah, he was a king, and the prophet Isaiah came and said, hey, you're getting ready to die, get your house in order. That's kind of where that term comes from. But the idea of getting your house in order is making certain that everything in your life, let me, how can I put this? Even the, what word can I use? Even the raggedy things you work out. It's interesting, when you go over a person's house, they only show you the part of their house that they want you to see. The formal living room will be very nice. If it's an apartment, that front room will be nice. If you're having company over, you know what I mean, you clean that thing up, you can smell pledge and everything in there, lemon, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, if candles are lit, you know, potpourri, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff, you know. But if you're, every house has a little room that's usually locked. The door is shut, it's locked. And you're like, what's over there? You're like, oh, no, don't bother. And you try to distract them with the room that you did clean. And you control the room that you guys are in. There's no wandering. Come on in, sit down right here. Because there's some raggedy behind, some of you know what's up. Okay, maybe for you it's not your house. Maybe it's your car. You got that front all together, and maybe the back is together, but don't pop that trunk. Don't pop that trunk. Don't do that. All kind of stuff will jump out at you. You know I'm telling the truth. At certain seasons, it's like that. And here's the thing. And sometimes it's in our human nature to only prepare the things that are needed in the season that we're in. To only prepare the things that are visible. Are you hearing me? To only have those things in order. Sometimes it's a character thing. You have to grow in your character. But a lot of times, you have people that only do enough to get by. Enough to pass. You ever had anybody who works for you who did that? They didn't go out of their way to do whatever was needed. They only did enough that just kind of works as long as I can keep my job. Now realizing that a smart employer is not looking for someone who just does enough. He's looking for someone who has the heart and the passion for the job that he has. Because he doesn't do enough. He or she does everything that is needed to make certain that it's excellent. A good employee stays late. Not just enough. And so sometimes we're the same way as it relates to levels. We do enough to get us through the level that we're on. And as a result of it, it leaves certain things raggedy. The challenge is when you're in transition, it means that you're actually going to another level. And you don't know what part of your raggedy cannot make it there. You don't know about what part of what you left undone will actually disqualify you on the bridge of transition. So as a fundamental discipline, when you're in transition, do an inspection on your life. Take a look at everything. Is there some area of my life that I need to deal with and bring into order and bring into alignment? Because I can tell you right now, to whom much is given, much is required. Are you hearing me? To whom, if God's going to give you more, then I'll tell you right now, more is required. More integrity. More excellence. More diligence, more prayer, more work, more responsibility. And so you have to get your house in order. Holler at me if you're in transition. Okay. I'm in the right room. So I'm telling you right now, God is saying, I want you to take another look. Take another look. What areas came up when I just talked about it? It might literally be your house. I don't know what it is, but what is attached to me that's raggedy. Which leads me to the second thing, because I lost about 4 friends. The second protocol of transition is to inspect your team. Have a look. Now, when I say that, I think that there are kind of 3 ways that inspecting your team, and I think that there are 3 results that you will come to. The first result, and I don't say the first like it's the most probable at all. I'm not doing this in order. It's just what's in my mind. The first result is to what I like to call, and I talk about this in my book, Purpose Awakening, the chapter called Honing the Gift of Goodbye. The first thing is to say goodbye. There are some, I don't think that you should throw people away. Even when you have to say goodbye, you always do it graciously. Because that person was created in God's image, that person is valuable, that person means something. So never treat a person like they're nothing because you're a liar. They are something, they mean something, they're valuable, God loves them, and there's a destiny. It just may not be with you. And so as you begin to inspect your team, and you will have to inspect your team, you have to prayerfully ask, A, who needs to go? Who needs to be corrected? And who needs to be added? Who needs to go? Who can stay by virtue of being corrected to make certain that they fit into where you are going? Because some people just need a little encouragement. Some people just need you to be 100 in order for them to be 100. And you can actually walk together, right? But there will be some sort of confrontation that's needed. You know what? It could look like, you know what? I've really been praying. God is doing this with me. And, and I thank God for you, and I believe in you and all that kind of stuff, and I love you. But I don't know. I don't really feel like we're on the same page based on what God is saying to me, And if they can't understand what God is saying to you, then they're not called to walk with you. Because when someone is called to walk with you, then God is saying the same thing to them as they're saying to you. Can two walk together except they be agreed? So so the two outcomes of that encounter is, if they have no idea what you're talking about, then you let them go. You say, may the Lord bless and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious towards you. May he lift up his countenance over you. Hello, somebody. And grant you shalom. Right? Bless them really good. If they say, you know what? You're right. And God's been speaking that same thing to me. I need to make some changes. Then they might be salvageable. And then also, you have to be open to new relationships. And that's hard too, especially if you're like me, because I'm like Drake, man, no new friends. No new friends. That's just also almost my motto, like no new friends. But you can't be like that, because you don't know. There could be somebody that God has placed in your life for a short period of time. You haven't known them, but they have the integrity and the maturity and the testimony and the love and everything that is just right for your destiny, and you have to be open to that, even beyond your fears. Because the reason why we say no new friends is because we've been hurt by suckers. Can I keep it 100 just for a second? That's why it's not that no one Drake. It's not that he or anybody doesn't want any new friends. We want friends. We just can't trust boogers, man. Because if people just, people come with agendas. Can I take this friend thing a little deeper? See, as it relates to transition is very costly. And a lot of times it costs you relationships. And many times transition reveals the foundation of relationships that you want celebrated. You would be surprised to know the number of people that are in your life right now for what they can get. Oh, God, here we go. It's going to get quiet. I'm just going to be honest with you. You would be surprised at how, if you were not who you were, they would not be in your life. And it doesn't even make them bad people. They're not bad people. Let me say, Judas was not a bad person. We always talk about Judas, and disloyal. And I said, well, let's understand Judas for a second. Okay, Judas is an ordinary dude on the come up. Who doesn't want to come up? Everybody in here is on the come up, right? That's why you wouldn't be here, because I preach up. So that means that you're on the come up. That's why you're here. I preach up. I don't preach down. I preach up. That's why you're here. Okay. So Judas, he's an ordinary dude on the come up. Here comes Jesus, young, fresh, anointed. Everybody's following him. He got servants, security. Like, he is the next best thing. He's the next big thing. Jesus is like a rock star. And Judas is like, who is that? And Jesus, and he's talking some lofty things. I'm the king. He got that following. Dog, he's a king. And he works his way into the inner circle. Hello, somebody? He's not a bad dude. There's some people right now that you want to meet, not because they're so spiritual. If I can just only, why? How come? Why? Has his spirituality touched your life? Or do you think that by meeting him, there's an opportunity? All of us have a little wee bit of opportunist in us. So Judas is like, yo, no, man, Jesus. And he was like sincerely like Jesus' friend for a minute. But it was based on what he thought he can get. So then Jesus started talking weird. And Jesus started saying stuff like, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but I don't have any place to lay my head. And so Judas was like, dog, you homeless? And like, and like from that moment forward, he still followed him, but he wasn't as close because he didn't quite know where this thing was going. And he wanted to be close enough to, just in case something happened, he can be caught in the wind of it, but close enough to the door so if something happened, I wasn't with him. You follow what I'm saying? And then Jesus has the nerve to say, I'm going to be shamed. I'm going to be brutally beaten and discarded, and I'm going to die in the most shameful, unthinkable way on the cross, and I'll have a kingdom later. Judas like, oh, you done went too far. You done went too far now. And he's gone. And just so that we know it was always about something that he can get, he basically sold his stock. His relationship with Jesus was his stock. He sold his stock to his haters for 30 pieces of silver because it was never the right foundation from the beginning. When you're in transition, it reveals who is in your life for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons. And then you have people who will only be your friend if you fit their idea of who you should be. So I only have room for friendship with you if you can fit into this. Here's the problem. When you are in transition, you are becoming something different. And so the relationship is only built on the pre-transition you. When the post-transition you shows up, now because they don't know what to do with you, they reject you. And you have to be okay with it all. Because if you can't see me, I don't need you. You understand what I'm saying? I love you, I thank God for you, but you don't have the capacity for the post-transition me, and since you don't have the capacity, that's cool. I can grab my toys and go home. We don't have to play anymore. And brothers and sisters, you have to be cool with that. I'd rather have 3 people that know me, that get me, that can handle all of me, than 1,000 people that put me in a bus and say you gotta look like this and talk like this and be like this. No way. No way. You can keep those fickle, phony relationships. This is who I am, and I'm going to the next level, and I might change again because I'm going from glory to glory to glory. I need some people that are real in my life. You can't handle me now. Wait till you see me in a year. And you got to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Change is rough, but it's everything. And it's hard while you're going through it. But I'm telling you, I'm coming back from the other side of it. Telling you it's worth it, and stick with it and let those fall off who had to. Some people had to. It wasn't you. It wasn't them. It was God. They had to because they occupied space that others were supposed to fill. We cool? Got to inspect your team. Number 3. You have to discover the alignment for the next level. Every level has an alignment. Alignment for the pre-transition season is different from the alignment that is necessary for the post-transition. What I mean by alignment is being one with what God is speaking and saying. Oh God, I feel heaven. The alignment before Christ was different from the alignment post-Christ. There was a different alignment. Watch this. There was an alignment pre-Christ. There was an alignment during the time of Christ. And there was an alignment after the resurrection of Christ. So you have to be able to seek alignment. That's why you have to know God's voice for yourself. That's what the Holy Spirit is for. So that you can know, and I want you, this is homework, read 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and 9. It says that eyes not seen or ears heard, nor has it entered the heart of man the things that God has prepared. And we take that out of context a lot. We make that about, things are coming, and that's true. But the context of that is really about humanly, there are things that you cannot know by the seeing eye, by the hearing ear, or by what your heart will tell you. But only by the Spirit will those things be revealed. And so in transition seasons, you have to become more spiritual. You have got to pray more so that you can be sensitive. You understand what I'm saying? You've got to really be plugged in. You got to pray more, because when you pray more, you open yourself up to the truth more. And you sacrifice yourself and your own emotions and your limited way on the altar of worship and prayer. You got to press in more so that God can guide you. You're in transition. You've never been here before. So you cannot trust your old rhythms and your old routines. There is a new alignment. And as you press into God in prayer, as you press into God, and I believe many of you ought to fast, as you press into God, then you will see clearly until you get to the other side. Number 4 is, and we're talking about protocols of transition. Number 4 is you have to learn to walk with precision. And what I mean by that is that you're in transition. You can't just make any old type of move. It's a very dangerous time. Transition is dangerous because you're going somewhere, but you're not there yet. And you don't have the quote unquote safety of where you came from. So you're walking through a very narrow path, and each step has to be calculated. And that's why the prayer comes in. Because one of the things about you really having a vibrant prayer life is that you'll be very sensitive to the Spirit. And so you will feel like if you're about to take the wrong step, it'll be like an in your spirit. You're like, oh, what is that? You remember that game Operation back in the day? Remember that? You know what I'm talking about? And you would have to do surgery on the thing and have the bones in there. And you had to be very, very careful, very, very, particular about pulling that thing out. Because if you went a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, what would it do? You remember that? Yeah. And so in this season, you have to, I feel this for somebody, please be slow. You can slow it down. Sometimes you're moving so fast that you can't choose well because you're moving so fast. Slow down. I don't care if you're getting rushed or pressure. It doesn't matter, right? Your moves in this season are very, very key and very, very critical. You have to walk with precision. And last but not least, number 5 is you have to pick your battles carefully. Now, I said it. We talked about it from the very beginning, right? There's no destiny without a fight. You got to fight. But what you fight is very important. There's some things that are fake battles, counterfeit battles. Battles are actually supposed to distract you, to siphon your strength so that you don't have the strength to fight the real battle. I feel God on this. I got to make this plain. See, you got to be wise enough to pick your battle. Because let me tell you something. You will always have enemies that want to fight. There will be always things. There'll be always things to fight. Like things to try to draw you into a fight. You think about football. The season's almost over. But think about it. You're on the line of scrimmage and the defender is trying to draw you off sides. And so one with discipline is there, and he's talking crazy, like, yeah, why you doing all that talking? I'm going to get in the end zone on your butt. You know what I mean? And so you have to stay focused, and you have to pick your battles. The way that I pick my battles is I ask myself 2 questions. What's the spoil? It's a biblical term. Spoil is literally, what am I going to gain by winning? What do I get? So whooping you, what does that mean? My friend fought Floyd Mayweather for his last fight, right? It was an honor that Floyd picked him. Because there's some people, this is not going to be a fight. So there's no spoil on the other side of the fight. You follow what I'm saying? So I don't pick you. If me whooping you is not going to take me to the next level, why am I even in the ring with you? So one thing I look at is what is the spoil on the other side of the battle. The second thing I look at is what will it cost me if I don't fight? And so you have to pick your battles wisely. Most battles you're actually supposed to walk away from. Because a lot of things are thrown. Are we together? A lot of things are thrown at you to get you to exhaust yourself and expend energy in the wrong direction. Yes, you got to fight. Trust me, you will have to fight, but you got to be wise enough to know where, who, and when. Are we together? Family, we're in transition. I believe with all of my heart, corporately, as a church, individually, I believe in our nation and our world, we're in transition, but we have to understand the protocols of transition. At the end of the day, we got to be clear, we have to be careful, and we've got to follow these things. Come on, stand with me. I want to pray for you.